Hey everybody, it's Mark, DoctorDeadwax, and it's time for another video. This is going to be lead into Deadwax 4. I'm surrounded by cats here today. And Geeko. So, anyway, I haven't done one of these lead into Deadwaxes. It's been a while, I was sick, blah blah blah, whatever. Lazy, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to do one now. I was listening to a record today, or yesterday, and it made me think about doing this, so. First up, Nitro Milk Stout, Cascade for Chris, down on the farm. And the record I'm going to talk about today is this record. It's the self-titled release from the band Christmas, who are a Canadian band. So Christmas were formed in Oshawa, they say, December 25th, 1969, hence the name. But it consists of a couple guys who were in another band called Rain Ghost, which kind of had like a psych folk hippie kind of flair, and that band kind of shattered, and this band Christmas came out of the results. In that band was Bob Bryden. He's the one that came from Rain Ghost. Also Rich Richter, or Helga Rich Richter on drums, Robert Bulger, and bassist Tyler Rezane. Two of these guys were like 16-year-olds who were recruited into the band when other people left, and that's who's on this first record. It's the people I mentioned there. Bob, who plays guitars. Here's the back cover. I mean, this is a really weird, totally indie thing. Christmas is Bob, who plays guitars and sings, Robert, who plays guitar, Tyler plays bass, Rich is the drummer, and Gary and Wolf sing. And Bob Bryden writes and wrote all the songs for the band. So they released two albums in 1970. They released this record, Christmas, and then they released the second one called Christmas Heritage, and that one has a tank on the cover, like them up against a tank. And then they kind of went under the radar for a little while, and had some lineup changes and some management issues, and reappeared in 1974 with their third and final studio record called Lies to Live By. So I'll show this record. So again, here's the cover. It's kind of got this weird, would you say that's Picasso-esque, you know, kind of modern art, a face on several different planes. I don't know, I really like the cover. It's kind of weird. There are reissues of this, by the way, and the early reissues don't have the Christmas and this in red. They're just monochromatic in color. The modern reissues, I think Karma and some other people have done fake, also pirated reissues. I think the Karma one's legit. Have done them, and the newer ones have this, so it's really hard to tell what's what. Again, here's the band. So there was the core of those four that I can find information on, and I think the other two sang. So as you can see, side one has 4 tracks on it, and then side 2 just has the 1 track on it. And yeah, this is on Paragon Records. I'll show it here. So that's the Paragon label. Side 2, Jungle Fabulous, the song that's on here. and it's a great song. Um, they kind of had, they kind of really evolved in the way their music sounded over the course of the 3 records in 4 years. Even over the course of the 2 records that came out in the same year. So this record, I would say, is kind of psych with a Grateful Dead almost kind of San Francisco psych rock fusion-y kind of feel, and yet at times progressive. And just really, this is a great record. I don't know how to say that. Heritage is, I would say, a little bit more rock and roll, a little more hard edge, a little bit more blues, rock. Again, still progressive though. And then Lives to Live By. The one from '74, that is more like Yes or Genesis, with more symphonic, progressive, mellotron. I think there's some orchestra in there, maybe a choir. Also, there is a 4th record, which is called Live at Massey Hall. Live is what the record was called. The CD is called Live at Massey Hall. And that was released in 1989, and that is recordings that were made in between 1970 and 1974 at Massey Hall, but didn't come out till 1989. And that record, I think, is really limited to like 300 copies, all of them signed by Bob Bryden. So, what can I say about the record and the pressing of this? The record was cut by Fred Burchell at McClear Place in Toronto. You can tell that because it has his standard kind of signature. He didn't sign his records, but he had a way of writing in the Deadwax that was definitely, clearly Fred's work, and because of that, it was more than likely pressed at the RCA Smith Falls plant for Paragon. RCA Smith Falls pressed a hell of a lot of label stuff at the time, and Fred was one of the great mastering engineers, I would say, in Canadian history, although one of the more lesser, very prolific, but probably less well known because he didn't actually sign his name. And the record sounds actually really good. I mean, it is incredibly simply recorded, but it has a wonderful textural tonal quality to it. I have to say, if you ever see this record in any condition, you should buy it. It doesn't matter how bad it is, because it sells on PopSite. You'll see results if you look them up in the $2,500 US range, and definitely getting 800 on a bad day. This is probably one of the biggest Canadian grails there is. Actually, the entire Christmas catalog would be the same. It would be this sold very few copies. The next one, Heritage, did better. I would say there seems to be more of those around. I have that somewhere in the basement. And then the third one, Lives to Live By, was released on Daffodil Records just before they went out of business. So there aren't a lot of those around either. And I know Heritage gets a couple hundred easily, as does Lives to Live By, but this is definitely the hardest of the 3 to find. So if you see it, just grab it. I mean, it's kind of like Rush's first record released on Moon. Even beat up and unplayable, it has good value. So what else can I say? Heritage, mentioning Rush, their second album, that was recorded by Terry Brown, who subsequently went on to record like the first 7 or 8 albums with Rush, so there's a connection there. these guys would definitely be the first really progressive band in Canada, and would have definitely probably had an influence on a band like Rush. So there is a link that I'm going to put down below that is the entire record in one video that's up on YouTube. And I won't often say this, but this is a record that is worth buying a reissue of. If you like kind of psych rock from the 60s that have it's not psych pop, it's more like psych rock, psych prog. If you like that kind of sound, this is a record that I would say is not very well known in Canada, let alone the rest of the world, but it's definitely worth spending 45 minutes with. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for watching. Lead into Deadwax 4. The band is Christmas. The record is Christmas. Have a great day, everybody. Keep the record spinning.